Welcome on into 19 on the Clock, your Tri-State High School and College Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Brad Pushkar. Joining me, as always, is my co-host, Jackson McCarty. Jackson, we had a great episode about the NFL Draft. Honestly, a fun draft weekend, I would argue.
Day one was one of the more chaotic I remember in a few years, at least. Between trades, Carnell Tate going 4 was obviously a big point.
Yeah.
Arvell Reese falling, all the way to 5 but should have probably been 2.
It was the Giants finally being like, wait, you guys aren't going to take him? Like, we'll just take him, I guess, whatever.
Yeah, it was just, Ty Simpson going to the Rams. Like, it was a busy night.
I loved Malik Neighbors being on camera for picks 5 and 10.
Yes.
And then you get the trade up at 11 and him just being like, man, I have to play against Caleb Downs twice a year again.
Yeah, Caleb Downs being a Cowboy is tough to stomach for me personally.
Yeah, that's
that fantastic pick by them.
That was the smartest trade up, I think, of the draft.
Yeah. It has to be because Miami moving back just the one spot. They didn't have to. They gave up 2/5.
Yeah,
that's not.
No,
that you do that every day of the week. But point is, it was a fantastic time, and now somehow I think this episode might be more
chaotic.
Yeah, more chaotic, more headline filled, more implicative for the future of college football than maybe the draft could be at times for the NFL.
Absolutely. In this episode, we will be talking about our Indiana high schools, their baseball and softball teams catching up. We'll also catch up with college softball because this weekend is going to be the last week of the regular season for some teams as they head to conference tournaments next week. But to go first, it has been a week of headlines in the sports world.
Yeah, absolutely.
And most notably, we'll start with the basketball side of things because the NCAA has initiated some steps to expand the men's and women's tournaments to 76 teams. That is reporting from ESPN from sources that they heard about on Tuesday. Now, this has been a little bit discussed. The key thing about it is that it's essentially expanding the plans.
Yes.
More so than like anything else. Now, I kind of like it. And I'll tell you why. I'll go off. The first thing is that it's going to hurt things like the NIL the NIT and the Crown Tournament, things like that kind of rose up to try and be more of a back end secondary option type thing.
Yes.
But the idea of having basically 24 play-ins to add 12 teams into that next part, I kind of think works. My first response too is that they're saying it's not going to be like, oh, we're going to put conference champions into this plan suddenly or anything like that. It is going to be a lot of the Power 4, Power 5 schools that are on that edge bubble that everybody just talks about all the time of like, well, if Auburn would have been in there, if Auburn would have been in there this year, they would have done it because look, they won the NIT.
Right.
If Auburn is in the play-in, they can get to actually play and win or lose is kind of the key thing. And I think the goal at the end of the day is like the tournament is a single elimination, no matter what.
Yes.
So if you give these teams a little bit more of a chance to just have that one shot at getting eliminated, I think it helps the discourse in a way. I think it'll quiet the discourse just a little bit.
I am personally out on this.
Okay.
Because you're right. Like it is going to uproot these tournaments that are replacement level. Those are now going to be, if you already weren't particularly interested unless your team was playing in them, they're now going to be borderline unwatchable. Because like it's instead of the 65th best team in basketball per the determining factors, you're going all the way down to the 77th. It would be your 1 seed. That's just not sustainable. I think that that's going to have a really big impact on those games. 2, I think that this is probably an attempt, more so obviously to sell tickets, but it's more of an attempt to try to get people invested earlier into the basketball season because a lot of people latch on to college basketball late, right before the tournament. you're only adding it for like a couple days. Like, you know what I mean? Like, this is not some if you know it starts in February now instead of March or what. Like, it feels like you're trying to create more chaos in a situation that is already extremely chaotic. And it's the same thing that we hear in the college football expansion argument, where it's like, yeah, now obviously it'll be a slightly quieter debate, but now instead of hearing from the fan base who was the first one left out at 65 on why they should have been 64, now you're just going to hear why 77 thinks they should have been 76. You know what I mean? I think
sure,
unless you include everybody, somebody's going to be complaining.
Yeah, I think the proposal is it'll be 12 games played by 24 teams at two different sites.
Right.
One will still be Dayton, notably, but it's just going to expand that Tuesday, Wednesday of the week too, which that's the one thing that I like about it, where it's like, oh, you just have more basketball on that day. And as somebody who goes to sleep when the first four starts most times, I like having daytime games. But that's a very personal, like, great thing for me.
Is this not also just going to disadvantage the teams that are playing in the play-in now? Because now they have to play more games. They're going to be more tired. They're going to have more miles on the tires by the time they even get to the bracket.
I'll make the hot take that if you're in the play-ins, like, that's part of the penalty in a way.
Sure, but like Texas just played 3 in 6 days or whatever it was to get to the 16. Or no, to get to the 16, they played 3 games in 6 or 7 days. It was because it was like the big headline.
Yeah, I mean,
now you got to play 5 and 8.
I think it's a difference between that is the one thing, because I would want to know what the Tuesday Wednesdays look like per se, because are you playing?
So are we still just playing for 4 spots? I assume so, right?
Yes.
Okay, so then you just have to add an extra. If you were adding 2 extra days and 2 extra games per,
so you have to get like 2 games. Yeah.
Like it's going to become having teams that are essentially gassed by the time they even get to the 64 versus teams that have been hanging out for like a week.
Yes, but I also think that because here's the thing, none of those teams are. I'm assuming if we're doing it the way that it's been done, or I guess if you're moving it up to this, if you're playing them both on Tuesday and Wednesday, you're going to have like a game on Tuesday, a game on Wednesday. Mm-hmm. The winners on Wednesday are the ones that move into the tournament, which just means those 4 spots are going to be Friday games.
Right.
Because you will get that Thursday day off.
Yes, probably.
Basketball to me is a little bit different, where like you get a day off and you're probably like you're not going to be in tip-top shape by the second game, but you're going to it's not the same as like a football where trying to play more than a game a week is like actively detrimental to the players.
Generally speaking, though, at the collegiate level, they get 2 or 3 off between games. And now you're going.
You've got some where they're playing, every other day, depending on the trips and stuff like that. Because especially with now, like with the Big Ten, where it's like you go out to you fly out to UCLA and you're just going to play USC a couple days later because you just got to get those back to back and not be going boom 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 boom.
But then
boom,
you make it
boom.
up on the back end.
Sure.
Like it just ultimately, like it is, you're just adding more to the plate of the teams that are already that are already at the disadvantage and that are already coming into it, like Texas, where it was such a big deal that they had played this many games in such a short window. I don't know. I think that it's going to become it takes the wind out of my sails personally as somebody who does care about the first 4, because it's like, okay, now I don't really have any particular expectation for these teams to succeed in the tournament because they've already won their mini tournament. They've already gone through the ringer.
I think another case to be made would be the argument of like, well, if they're playing in the play-ins, they probably didn't get far in their conference tournament.
Probably.
So you're gonna, so like they've already had 6 days off before playing in the play-in, 5 days off, whatever, 4 or 5 days off before playing on Tuesday, because nobody's playing Monday. You're not playing Sunday if you're in a tournament and out early, and probably not Saturday. Yeah. So I'm assuming last game was Friday.
Okay.
4 or 5 days, something like that. So you've already had that break. the champion is then breaking from Sunday until Thursday or Friday, 4 or 5 days. Again, it's just kind of that like, well, if you want to be able to come in and play, and I think the other thing is that at the end of the day, it's the power conferences that are pushing for this, and it's why they are likely going to be the ones that are getting these bids
because it's more revenue.
Because it's more revenue.
They don't care about how much energy the teams have going into these things.
Exactly, and I think whether to me it'd be like, yeah, it's up to the teams then to just be like, well, no, we're just not going to go play because we're gassed or whatever.
Right.
But you're not going to turn down an NCAA tournament appearance because most of these coaches are also going to be getting money from their schools for appearances or from attempts at making it deep, things like that.
For sure. I don't know that we're going to see eye to eye on this one, just because
I don't think we will either. And I think too, because it's so fresh. We're both kind of going like, well, if this is the way that it ends up going, it could end up going a totally different way,
and it still needs to be. It still needs approval from like dozens of like committees and stuff. Mm-hmm. Like it's very. It'll happen.
It's in the final steps. It'll probably happen before next year.
Yes.
But we'll kind of have to wait to keep an eye on that. Moving on to we've been talking about the 5 to play, 5 eligibility proposals. There was a very interesting proposal that was added to it, reported by Andy Staples from On3, which is essentially a tampering enforcement structure. I love the idea of, hey, let's stop tampering. Let's have a control over this. I think this is the weirdest possible proposal you could have gone in, and is antithesis to the idea of like
the justice system?
Yes. Yeah. Because the proposal would be as according to the reporting, the infraction process to presume violations occurred in cases of impermissible contact with transfer students. If the proposal is adopted, schools suspected of tampering with student athletes prior to their entry into the transfer portal would need to demonstrate the violation did not occur to avoid penalties.
Yes. Brad, prove to me you didn't call our boss yesterday.
Look, these are all of the draft texts that I never sent.
Right. Like, what is this? It's guilty till proven innocent is what it is.
Yeah, and it's such a fascinating thing because it's like, yeah, if I mean, like what, I have to pull my phone records,
right?
Like, because I don't. Can you delete recent calls?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I keep getting like fake IRS calls.
Yeah, but can you like remove it from your? Yeah, I guess you can. Yeah, so you just delete it after you do it.
Yeah,
what are we doing?
Unless you're going to be in contact with AT&T for every college,
and that's like my thing in my head. I'm like, are they saying like, oh, you have to go to your carrier and be like, show me every record?
Maybe.
And I'm like, at that point, you're just the FBI.
Right. Well, it's also like, since when is the weight of proving a situation factual not on the person
making the accusation?
What is that?
Yes.
Like, you're telling me I could go, just because I've said it, I could go into our boss's office and say, hey, Brad did a bad thing. Mm-hmm. And now it's your job to prove you didn't do the bad thing.
Correct.
Not my job to prove that you did do the bad thing.
Well, they do like you a little bit more than me. So.
And while I would not go that far, I give them headaches. But all the same, well, it's just crazy. That's an insane way to lay this out.
There's a video game, Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney.
Okay.
The
entire,
I've
heard of it.
I was gonna say, I was like, you may have heard of it, but I'm assuming you've never played it.
I know the cutscene deal, like the
objection.
Yeah, because there used to be a Twitter bot where you you Phoenix write this or whatever.
Oh, that's the best bot.
Yeah.
That was the best bot ever.
Yeah.
Yes, but essentially the point of the game is like the justice system just accuses somebody, and like you have to prove their innocence at the very end of it. It's like it's a video game,
right?
Okay, and it's also like not supposed to be America per se, but it's like at the same time it's like that's what this is. Like, I have to go collect evidence to prove to you that what you're claiming is false.
Yes.
What are we doing?
Yeah, it's insane. How far along is this? Not at all, right? It's just a proposal.
All of this is still proposals.
Okay,
this part is not like official of any sense at that point.
Because what's going to happen is, based on just a little bit of like individualized Googling that I've done, it seems like right now, just with the ghost transfer stuff, which I know we'll touch on later, like that can by itself be 6-game head coach suspension, 20% fines equal to the sports budget.
Yes. This
tampering deal, if you can't without a doubt prove you didn't do something, could be near death penalty levels of things to this program, because now money matters more than your scholarships and all that stuff. So, like, if you take a big giant chunk of some school's budget away because they couldn't prove that they didn't call this 5-star quarterback, you're going to uproot some programs and, like, cause a lot of damage.
Yes.
I hope that this one does not see the light of day beyond this point, because it is insane.
Yes. I like the fact that there are these attempts to control the transfer portal, to not allow it to get too out of hand. I know that football limited it down to one transfer portal, but I know like volleyball has a spring transfer portal that just opened right now, and things like that. So especially because you have spring games, you can see how things are meshing. I don't hate the second transfer portal right now for other sports. But yes, you mentioned the ghost transfer stuff, and essentially the biggest transfer story of the year in Cincinnati sports was Brendan Sorsby heading to Texas Tech. We're probably not breaking news to you by now because it has been so heavily reported this week, but he is currently going to a rehabilitation center for a gambling addiction, because he was discovered to have made thousands of wagers, both while he was a student at IU and then also while he has been a UC Bearcat.
Yes.
Those first ones, there are bets that were made on IU football in 2022 that were found. There are also bets allegedly that he was making bets on balls and strikes at Reds games during the season last year.
It is also worth just underlining, not to make it sound like any of this is okay. It does not sound like he was fixing any level of competition. All the Indiana games that he did bet on, allegedly
he did not play in.
Yes, it was during his redshirt year. It was no games that he participated in, at least that we have discovered at this point. Yeah, so this is chaos.
Yes. Now, there's a few things that have all played into this. Part of it is like how much he gambled, and I haven't seen a lot of the details on the numbers with the IU bets.
Yes.
But the thing that specifically came with the red stuff was that he was doing like $1 to $2 betting on live balls and pitches, balls and strikes and things like that, which I think is a crazy thing to even bet on in the first place. But part of the whole thing with the way that the NCAA has handled betting and things like that, because you're not allowed to bet on college sports, you're also not allowed to bet on pro sports if you are a college athlete.
Yes.
But they have shown leniency if you are making small wagers, especially for like a sport that you have no involvement in.
Yes.
So that is something that will play a factor into that. It could just be a suspension versus a full eligibility loss. If there is if you do bet more than $200, you face eligibility loss. I don't know if that is a total, but if that's,
I think it has to be, right? Because like
I
bet $199 2,000 times. You know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah, that's a good point. Because that was like the thing in my head. I'm like, well, is he doing the $1 thing because he's just trying to keep under that limit? And maybe that is what it is.
But I mean, yeah, if you make thousands of bets, it don't matter how many $1 deals you play, so you're going to have exceeded it.
But yeah, so the NCAA found metadata that he had been doing it on numerous sports, and informed Texas Tech of that. The USA Today has reported that, which is our partners at the Inquirer, that the Cincinnati Athletic Department was alerted in August that he had been gambling prior to the start of the 2025 season. There are questions over if that is proven would Cincinnati face any kind of sanctions because of, like, hey, they knew about this, they still let him play, didn't try to stop him, et cetera, et cetera?
I mean, I would think so, but it sounds like they also probably have a little bit of plausible deniability because the Cincinnati Enquirer through USA Today was reporting that that the Big 12 uses Prohibit, which is a betting app.
Prohibit.
Yes. Yeah, I just didn't want to have to. I'm going to call it Prohibit.
Let me take the. Hey,
yeah, you got
it's
the reins
okay.
on that.
I got you.
But basically, that is an app that all student athletes have to download on their phone, and it would notify the university if they log on to whatever betting app they choose.
Log on, try to sign up, all that stuff.
Right. So, assuming he's probably doing it on somebody else's phone. Or doing it on a burner phone or a secondary phone. Yes. So it just becomes a situation where it's like, well, you can look at our Prohibit log. It does not notify us that he was doing this. Whatever. That said, it's now Sorsby's filing to drop the lawsuit that UC filed against him for breach of contract, and it looks like Texas Tech is going to be without options in the portal because they can't transfer a D1 guy now. It has to be a D2 guy. So they'll probably have to bring somebody into battle with Will Hammond, who's recovering from an ACL injury. And it's just, obviously, it is not even May yet. Well, no, it won't be May yet when we drop this episode either.
No.
But it will be one day off.
It will be a day from May.
we won't even have reached May. Obviously, Texas Tech will be able to figure something out.
Yes.
But what a nightmare of a situation to be created after the portal's already closed. And after you've spent what sounded like an insane amount of money to get Sorsby onto your campus.
Oh, yes. And I was going to say there was a former – because we've seen players – caught betting on sports, whether it was their own sport, whether it was something different. Iowa State had, I believe, dozens. The state of Iowa had dozens of Iowa and Iowa State players caught in a sting. A lot of them paid fines. Some have joined a civil lawsuit. A lot up in the air with that.
Yes.
But most of them lost their eligibility.
Yeah.
Now, the one thing that I've seen talked about too is the fact that he's going into an addiction treatment center.
Yes.
Tech has a QB coming off injury, also a redshirt freshman who could get them through, like, I think the first 3 weeks is how long he's still projected to be out. You can go for the transfer from a Division II if you really need to. But what does end up happening with Sorsby? Because the one thing that is going to be happening in, I want to say it's June. Let me double check on when that is. Do you know when it's
the supplemental draft?
The supplemental draft, yes.
I think it's in August. But I'm not entirely certain. I do think that would be his best bet at this point because, it sounds like if there's any level of smoke and if he's checking himself into a gambling rehab center, as it were, it sounds like there's probably some truth to the matter, not to speak uncertainties. But if that is the case, he's probably done in college football. He should be on the first flight out for this supplemental draft because this is
late June, early July.
Yeah, okay.
Is generally when it is held.
Yeah, he needs to be in that.
I think that the one thing though too is NFL players cannot be gambling on their own games.
Right.
I don't think we've ever had a case like this though that we could even begin to compare it to, because you think about who was the Falcon? Was it Ridley? Calvin Ridley, betting on games when he wasn't playing, and things like that. He got game suspensions.
Yeah, he got like a year.
It was like a year
because he never played for the Falcons again. They sent him to Jacksonville.
Yes, correct. So would Sorsby, like, is there anything of, does a team not even want to touch him because of the history of gambling, that they would worry would come up again once he becomes an NFL player.
Yeah.
I think those are all questions that are kind of up in the air. It does make me go, though, at the end of the day, I'm like, should have just gone in the draft because he probably would have been a top 3
until
QB.
that goes. Until this breaks and he's at that level. But then I guess they're out of the way. But, now a team's all concerned about his history there. Well, so I do know that the supplemental draft operates in terms of wherever you pick a guy, you give up that round of pick for the next year. So, like, if Sorsby is taken as a 4th-round pick, the team that selects him gives up their 4th rounder in 2027.
Which isn't...
It's not awful.
Bad. No.
But, like, I'm interested because if that is the path that we end up going here, and I know we have to move on, but I know that if that's the path that he chooses to go here, I'm curious to see how high up, because he is a good quarterback and he is at a very valuable position, even with the history. I do think that he would get picked.
Yeah, and I think the other thing at the end of the day is that like gambling addictions are just no laughing matter.
No, absolutely not.
So I did want to also remind people that 1-800-GAMBLER is the hotline that you can always call if you are going through something like that. And we hope that the best for him with dealing with that while his football career may be up in questions. So let's move on now to closing to the end of my season, basically. But high school baseball, softball over in Indiana, having some exciting times right now. So how about you tell us a little bit about you got 4 teams for us, 2 from both
baseball and softball
types of sport.
Yes. So we've still got about a month, maybe a little under a month left in the Indiana baseball and softball seasons. So let's talk about, I went ahead and isolated the 2 teams in Indiana on both sides of the coin that I think are our strongest competitors for the postseason. Yeah. Number 1, and who I would argue is probably, it would be first or second, just across both of these. East Central in baseball, the Trojans are 7-3 right now. They've lost to Franklin County, Columbus North, Jennings County by a combined 8 runs. So, and Franklin County, Columbus North, those are pretty respectable teams, and that was a combined 3. Yeah. So they're doing some damage. You factor in local wins against Harrison in Ohio, obviously Connor in Kentucky, and then twice against Batesville, who we will talk about shortly. 316 batting average, 2.60 ERA, 8 pitchers with multiple appearances. It's a very hit or miss bunch, truthfully. Chase Marsh is their leading innings pitcher with 17.1. It feels like they just don't know who they're comfortable with on the mound yet, which is crazy because they're at a 2.60 ERA. They're still very much trying to figure out who's going to be the go-get-it, send them out the most. Seems like Chase Marsh has earned that role to this point. He is a sophomore, 1.62 ERA, 24 strikeouts, just 1 walk at this point, which is
very
interesting.
Solid.
Yeah. Then as a hitter, 395, 12 RBIs, 3 triples. Add that together with Vincent Keck, who I would say is kind of their lead bat right now. Chase obviously on a little bit more of the come up. Vincent has 500 batting average, 14 RBIs, 1 home run. Pretty solid team. I think that it's always tricky because we have such a rural portion of Indiana to understand really how good they're going to be in the tournament, because there's a lot of really quality and giant schools all throughout Indiana.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, yeah. As a graduate of the 2010 Indiana State champions in baseball, I believe. We were 2010 or 2011 Carroll High School won. It is such a weird mix with the way that just the way sports works in Indiana is actually my take, because it's baseball, basketball, football. Obviously there are always going to be some powerhouses out of Indianapolis, And then you kind of get the other sections, your Evansville, your Fort Waynes, your like West Lafayette, South Bend, things like that. But like even when you get out of those cities and are in a more suburban or more rural area, you get some high schools where it's just, you just have kids that are, growing up on the farm and are building that natural muscle and natural athleticism that they can still compete at such a high level against somebody that is in a more like regimented training situation and things like that. The only thing that concerns me with East Central is the pitching situation right now.
Right.
Which, like, it's not that it's bad. It's just there comes a point where you need to know here are our 2 to 3 guys and kind of shrink it down just a little bit to, leave a couple guys as, hey, these you're going to get closing time or, we'll keep you out of game to give you a little bit more time to rest for another type thing.
Yeah, it's like just quickly panning over here to look at the pitching stats again. It's let's see. So all of those 8 guys have 2 or more, and then after Marsh, you've got 2 guys on 10 innings pitched, 1 on 9, and then 5.25, 3.1, 2.2, 0.20. Which I don't know why the 0. Oh, because he got lit up whenever he was out. He just didn't record now. But so like it's just very like it sounds like Marsh and then Ethan Wynn are going to be like their primary 2 that they're going to lean into. But it kind of establishing that bullpen, as it were.
It's also this thing where I think in my head I'm like, well, it's so late in the season, you should know that I'm reminding myself, no, they're only 10 games in.
Yeah.
There's like a whole month of play for you guys. So that's on me.
No, I'd be interested to see how East Central progresses here. And then a team that we don't know just a ton about besides what they've shown against EC is the Batesville Bulldogs. Mm-hmm. They are 8-5. Obviously, I mentioned that they have 2 losses to East Central. The first one was 1-0. The second one was 11-8. So if we are going to put respect on East Central, super close losses to East Central don't inherently, knock me off the beaten path too far there.
Sure.
They had a 4-game run of New Palestine, EC, Columbus North, and then EC again. Those, and then they lost to Connorsville like at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
But besides that, like tough week and a half, they've been a really, really good team. They've beat local teams Walton, Verona, Dixie Heights, Campbell County, and Milan, who Milan's game was last night. I believe they won that 8-5 or 8-3 or something to that tune. And then finally, to round us out on Batesville, because they do not have individual stats available, Max Preps has them as the 65th best team in Indiana. So for comparison, I think EC was somewhere in the 50s.
Yeah. I was gonna say, like, I can already like picture in my head. I'm like, well, you got probably a few of the Fort Wayne teams. You got like Ben Davis and plenty of the Indianapolis schools up in there too. And then like you probably got like a random like Mishawaka or something.
Yeah, you had all the Franklins because there was like Franklin Community and then is there a Franklin North or something? There was a couple different Franklins that I remember saying.
Or Franklin South, I think. I think there's no North, but a South.
There you go.
It's
perchance. In Cheyenne, Wyoming, there is a Central, East, and South. No North, no West.
That's fair. South Bend is at the very north of the state, too.
There you go. Look at that. Aren't directions fun? Now to pan over to the softball side of stuff, the team that I debated between EC being the best or Milan's softball team. They are on fire, man. 15-4. Their losses are to Rising Sun, Franklin County, Shoals Christian, and Colbert. I assume it's Colbert County?
I think it's Colbert.
Oh, is it? Okay, well, whichever one there. They're not in our DMA, so I'm not going to get too worried about offending anybody. 9 games of 10 or more runs. So putting up numbers. 340 batting average, 2.43 ERA as a team through 19 games. They have 14 homers. This is a little bit of old and young. We've got the senior leader, who is Kennedy Bodie, 500 batting average as a senior, 31 RBIs, 6 homers. Then as a pitcher, almost 100 IP.
Yep.
1.97 ERA, 125 strikeouts.
Beautiful.
Yep. very much the focal point of this team, very much the engine of the success to this point. But do not sleep on McKenna Eaglin, a freshman, 385 batting average, 26 RBIs, 5 homers. They have 14 as a team. You just heard about 11 of them.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. It is a 1-2 punch to highlight, underline, emphasize whatever you need to do to make sure that you know that when you watch Milan play softball, that if you can't control those two, you're going to lose the game.
Well, it's such a nice balance, too, of having the veteran expert passing down to the next generation of being there for 4 years, I think.
For sure. And I know typically you probably want it a year closer, so that way,
having a junior and a freshman or something like that.
Yeah, that way so Eaglin's a junior and can be maybe a little bit more into that natural leadership role, but there's still enough surrounding talent on this team that I think that it'll be a way to just kind of elevate without needing her to exactly be like the head person on this roster.
To not be a captain, but be a leader.
Correct. And then finally, to round us out here, we have the Lawrenceburg Tigers, who are 10-5. They have losses to Madison, Jennings County, Highlands, local, Greensburg, and Harrison, local. 366 batting average, 274 ERA. Again, kind of this is the thing that you typically like to see, a sophomore and a senior as their leading charges. Isabella Miller has a 408 batting average. She's the sophomore of this equation. 25 RBIs, 1 homer, and then she's pitched over 70 innings, under 3 ERA, 95 strikeouts. And then her counterpart, Jillian Cavanaugh, tied most RBIs on the team with Miller, 25, 490 batting average, 4 homers.
Beautiful.
Less pop between that duo, obviously, but still extremely efficient and effective.
Just the 0.49, because you can compare Kavanaugh's number to Eaglin's numbers.
Yes.
One off, but the batting average being nearly 50 is such a big step. And then you go down to Miller, who's still pitching incredibly well. Yeah. I think both these pitchers that you've mentioned are arguably lights out in a way. I think if I was a coach of either of these teams, I'm going, we've got a good thing going here.
Absolutely. And now next week when we pick back up on the high school side of stuff, you will hear me try to figure out how to mention like so many teams.
All of our Ohio teams, basically.
Yes. Like I might just do a sentence for why you should care about like 10 different teams.
We can do that.
Like that might have to be, like headlines, but that is something for me to worry about later. Brad, we still have college softball to look into.
Why you should care, and the one player to care about. Yeah. Is an easy way of doing that. But yes, we've got college softball. If you didn't know, UC, Xavier do not have softball teams. So locally, we're going to start off with Miami.
Yes.
The Red Hawks are 35-16, 16-8 in the MAC. They just had a 4-0 loss at Dayton last night, and their final series of the year is going to be versus BGSU this Friday and Saturday, and a doubleheader is on Saturday. Okay. I think it's 1 and 3 p.m.
Okay. Dang, that's a quick turnaround.
Yeah. A lot of the doubleheaders that I've seen are 2-hour quick ones. So talking about some players, this is this is arguably the most senior team on my list for this week. So I want to talk about the 3 big hitters because they are doing a lot. That is senior outfielder Bailey Manos. She is hitting a .426 batting average, a 1.29 on base plus slugging, 14 home runs, 48 runs, 54 RBIs, and has 13 stolen bases on 17 attempts.
Okay. Yeah.
It's her, and it's very interesting because I've got two senior outfielders and a senior infielder. The other outfielder is Katie Olive. She's a .349 average, 1.164 OPS, 15 home runs, one more than Bailey, 10 doubles, 44 RBIs, and 13 stolen bases on 16 attempts. They are both runners.
Yeah. And everybody on your list having over double-digit homers at this point in the year, like it's just they found a really good rhythm of being able to kind of maximize on similar points of strength.
I'll say this. I think that they might have been the best looking hitting team of all 5 that we will talk about. Because I kind of like when I look at them, I usually go like, oh, like let's see who's got like some like good averages, who has good on base plus slugging, and I kind of had to go like, oh, I'm gonna like cut somebody just so I'm not listing off 5-6 names,
right?
Because I believe they have 5 players that are all over 1 OPS, which is a very solid thing.
Yeah, that's a tournament team.
And then on the you have senior infielder Denitza Hernandez hitting a .412 average, a 1.261 OPS, 12 home runs, 13 doubles, has a .503 on base percentage. 50% of the time she's getting on base, and only has 15 strikeouts in 153 at bats.
Yeah,
which I thought was very spoke to the quality of swings that she's giving, and also just the eye that you have.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, that's great plate discipline.
So the MAC tournament is going to start on the 6th, and I don't believe that there is any sort of bracket set up for that yet. So we will probably have to give you the update on that next week with the episode when it's already started. Mm-hmm. Moving on to Northern Kentucky University, the Norse are 20-23, 8-7 in the horizon. Had a series sweep against Detroit Mercy last weekend. Their final series is at IUND Friday and Saturday with a Friday doubleheader this time. You've got senior utility Brielle DeMemo. She's hitting a .321 batting average, .943 on base plus slugging, 6 home runs, 29 RBIs, and 5 triples. Which I was like, you're getting a lot of deep shots, and also like whether they go out for a home run or
I'm guessing she didn't have like a crazy high steals number. Or no, she had to have. Yeah, she's got to be just really good at hitting oppo field and making it work there.
Yeah, and then you have freshman outfielder Kenzie Gully, another big hitter, .359 average, a .818 OPS, 51 hits, 4 doubles, 1 triple, 0 home runs, but 17 out of 18 stolen bases per attempt. So it was, to me, I was like, oh, Kenzie hits to get on base, get a single, and then just runs it.
Right.
Tries to get in position to score for her, for the hitters that follow behind her.
Most likely just, a lot less pop, a lot more contact.
Yes, exactly. And then you got freshman pitcher Macri Chapman, has a 5.03 ERA, that has pitched 111 innings and has 64 strikeouts. Was the Horizon League pitcher of the week for her performance against Detroit Mercy.
Okay. Yeah. Hey, that's respectable numbers. Obviously, like at the high school level, we end up getting like very gaudy ERAs, and it kind of like desensitizes us a little bit. But yeah, like that's a very respectable collegiate season for a pitcher.
Well, and like when we get to other, I think I have another pitcher in there somewhere. Yeah, there it is. I mean, it's on the higher end of some of the pitchers that we have on this list. But you're right. It's very much just you're coming in consistently, and really, I think she's taking a lot of the overall play time, just in general. So as you're playing more, you're gonna get tired and give up a few more runs and things like that. Moving on to the SEC, staying in Kentucky, we're going to Kentucky. The Wildcats are 26-28, 1-23 in SEC play. They opened the year, the SEC play, with a win against Auburn, 8-3. Have not won a game in conference since. Now, I want to point out also that the SEC is so loaded with talent.
Oh, absolutely.
You have Oklahoma. Mm-hmm. You have a number 4 Texas, like a number 3 Oklahoma that they played, a number 4 Texas that they played, South Carolina, Mississippi State, all these very good teams that they unfortunately just have to go through being in the SEC.
Yeah, it's the same thing Kentucky deals with in football.
Exactly.
Like, just to, be as blunt as I can.
And they did get wins against ranked teams. They beat Louisville on April 22nd when Louisville was number 25 in the nation. The SEC tournament will start on Tuesday. But I want to shout out junior catcher Carly Sleeman with a 1.090 OPS, 14 home runs, 37 RBIs. And then you have sophomore utility Allie Blum, a .382 average, clean 1 on base plus slugging, 6 home runs, 63 hits, and 14 of 18 stolen bases.
Easy. Gets the job done.
Exactly. It's a team that as I was kind of going through the stats and things like that, I was like, this feels like a team that's going to kick into gear a little bit more next year and is kind of figuring out the wheels and learning what they're doing this year to hopefully have a better season next year.
Unfortunate that they are a pretty solid team that the headline and the thing that people are going to remember from the season is the conference record.
Yeah, I mean, when you take away the conference, they're 25-5.
Yeah, there's a solid. Yeah, they're a good team. It's just
the SEC
that's
is
going to be the
brutal.
headline.
Yeah. Moving on to the Cardinals, Louisville, number 24 right now. They're 41-10. That's the best record that we have in our general area. 16-5, third in the ACC right now, though, behind Florida State and Duke. They are going to close out the season with an away series at NC State, and then the ACC tournament runs from May 6th to 9th. A lot of another team where I had to kind of go, okay, well, who do I really want to talk about when we're looking at stats here? Sophomore Madison Pickens, she had a 1.308 on base plus slugging, 75 hits, 9 home runs, 18 doubles, 67 RBIs, leading the team in home runs. Senior Chelsea Mack is a 1.021 OPS, 78 hits, 73 of those singles, 39 of 44 stolen bases to attempts.
Contact City. Oh my gosh.
It was one of those things where I was like looking at it, I was like, wait, she has that many hits, and then I scroll over, I was like, it's two doubles, 2 triples, and a home run. Whatever the
evaluation is.
It's exactly that.
Golly.
I was just like, oh, like she just, I don't know if it's just she just hits the same ball every time, and sometimes it goes wild, and so she gets to the second, third, or home run on the play. But I don't know. I was like, if like that, I'm like, she's my leadoff if I'm looking for a team.
Yeah. That's free base running right there.
And then you have another senior, Breida Spines, 1.240 OPS, 58 hits, 7 home runs, 62 RBIs, and a little bit more controlled on stealing, 17 of 19 stolen bases to attempts. And senior pitcher, Alyssa Zabala, a 3.58 ERA, 90 strikeouts, 111.1 innings pitched, and a 12-4 record for the Cardinals. Yeah. This is one of those years where I think it's going to be Miami. We talked about Miami last year. I think like at the end of the year, the Miami softball team was one of my like awards of the year that we did. Yeah. Just because I was very impressed with the way that they had played their season. It feels like Miami and Louisville are 2 teams that are that can make a splash in like the tournament and things like that this year.
Yeah.
Of course, like UConn or South Carolina in women's basketball, all things run through Norman in softball.
Yes.
So they will have to play Oklahoma at some point. But,
yes. That is a inevitability at this point.
Yeah. Hey, Thanos. Mm-hmm. So. And speaking of Thanos, almost perfectly balanced is Ohio State. They are 24-25, 11-10 in the Big Ten. They are playing Washington this weekend. The Big Ten tournament starts on May 6th, runs through the 9th. Some players to look out for is Abby Wilhelm. She's 1.375 on base plus slugging, 51 hits, 47 RBIs. Has 30 strikeouts, though, was one thing that I noticed, and 23 home runs. Okay. So she's hitting big. Yeah. Not always making the full contact that you'd want to.
Yeah, nearly half of her hits are homers.
Yeah. So
that's a 3-outcome hitter right there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Really a 2-outcome, but yeah.
And that was one of those ones where I'm like, yeah, like she's trying to go for the big plays, and I respect that.
Yeah.
Taylor Cruz is 1.302 on base plus slugging, 52 hits, 20 home runs, 45 RBIs, and is the only player to have double-digit hit by pitches at 10, which I was like, does she have a magnet? Is that how the ball's coming to her, or what are we doing here? So
that, or she's really good at getting in the pitcher's heads.
Yeah. That's a tactic just as much as
you need those.
Swinging. So
you absolutely need those.
And on the pitching staff, Jenna Molk is 15-13, 3.28 ERA, 138 innings pitched, or 138.2 innings pitched. Has given up 161 hits, 18 doubles, 12 home runs. So it's a very like singles focused
Absolutely.
Pitching, which I respect, and has a .284 batting average from batters against her.
Not a bad spot to be.
Not at all. I was, if a batter is hitting .284, you're like, oh, they're not having a good season.
At the collegiate level.
Type thing. Yes.
Yes.
So.
I
Fair.
I say, at the majors, 284. I'm like, whoa. But no, that's
I mean, a lot of colleges.
Respectable ERA. It's the most innings pitched of the list of the pitchers that we have.
Exactly.
Minimizing damage. Yeah, Malk's had a good year. That's a great person to be at the forefront of your bullpen there.
Yeah. And so again, everybody's rounding up their season this year. Thomas More is also completely done with their season. They'll be coming back again in the spring of 2027. But that is, that's about all we got for this week. So if you want to start latching onto softball, say watch Louisville, watch the Cardinals, watch the Red Hawks, watch the Redbirds that we've got locally, because I think that they're going to be the ones that have a chance to go deeper into the tournament things. But like I said, that's all that we have for this week. If you like what you're hearing here, you can hear all of our episodes, including our past NFL draft discussion, our discussion on random NCAA rules that keep getting proposed and slowly moving forward. If you liked that off the top, be sure to follow us wherever you get your podcasts. That's Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all those and more. We are under the Fox 19 Now Sports banner. You can, the beauty of subscribing to that is that you not only get us on Thursdays, but you also get the gold standard, the mornings after those live streams go out on Fox 19 Now Plus, which is a free app that you can download on your smart TV and smart devices. It is, Roku, Android TV, Apple TV, all those fun things. You just search Fox 19 Now and hit the download, and those are usually on Wednesdays, Thursday nights, around 8 p.m. I believe.
Yes, that sounds about right.
So you can always watch those live, where Joe Danneman, Charlie Goldsmith talk all things Bengals, Reds, handle the professional sports sides of things, and talk about it arguably better than we do, high school and college sometimes. But that is all that we have for this week. So thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you next time.
Have a go.